Today, we're delving into a really chilling modern mystery, one that absolutely captivated the internet for a while. I'm talking about the unsettling saga known as Dear David.
Oh yeah, Dear David. That was huge.
It really was. And online horror, it's really found its footing in the digital age, hasn't it?
Totally. I mean, you think back to those old chain letters.
Right. Don't forward this and something terrible happens.
Exactly. And then creepypastas, those short, often anonymous horror stories. Some are genuinely terrifying.
And even stuff that pops up on Reddit, these supposedly true tales from, the darker corners. The internet's become this, fertile ground for the strange and unsettling.
It really has.
Yeah.
And 2017 that year saw a new, powerful wave of these stories emerge, especially from places like Twitter. And at the forefront, undoubtedly the biggest one, the most captivating, was the unfolding story of illustrator Adam Ellis and the supposed ghost child he eventually called David. It wasn't just a story people read, it felt like something happening live.
Yeah, it really seized the public's imagination. Millions were following along. So our mission today is to step back a bit. Step back from the immediate fear and, the wonder of the Dear David story itself. And really examine it, look at it as this cultural phenomenon.
Right. How did it unfold? What were the theories?
Exactly. We want to trace its bizarre path, explore some of the more compelling ideas about what was really going on, and ultimately maybe figure out what this whole saga tells us about modern storytelling. How stories are told and consumed now.
It's a fascinating case study for sure.
It really is. Trust me, it's quite a ride. And it really makes you think about what you see online. So the story of Dear David, it started kind of subtly, almost innocently, you could say. Back in August 2017, Adam Ellis, he began sharing experiences that, at first, a lot of people might just dismiss typical haunting stuff.
Yeah, like nightmares, right.
Exactly. He talked about these really unsettling nightmares, sleep paralysis too, that horrible feeling of being pinned down.
Always creepy.
And just strange noises in his apartment, scraping sounds, maybe footsteps.
Okay.
When he first started tweeting these things, it was easy for people to just go, oh, he's paranoid or, overactive imagination.
Sure, it sounds like the start of almost every ghost story ever told. Classic setup.
Right. Almost cliche. But then things started to change.
Yeah, as the weeks and months went on, the whole narrative just spiraled. It grew way beyond those initial kind of conventional expectations.
It really did.
What started as just a guy having bad dreams gradually morphed into something much more elaborate, more tangible.
Tangible is a good word for it.
Adam's posts started including things like eerie video clips, his cats staring intently at an empty corner.
Yeah, or acting really agitated for no clear reason.
Exactly. Then objects in his apartment apparently moving on their own. And then came the really unsettling shift. He started sharing photographs. Full-on, supposedly real photos of what he claimed was the ghost child, David.
That's when it blew up, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The story gained this incredible momentum. It just took on a life of its own that, frankly, few could have predicted back when it was just about nightmares.
Yeah, it really did. And I think at that point, the story became undeniably too articulated, maybe, too structured.
Yes.
It couldn't just be coincidence anymore or, misinterpreting shadows.
Right. This wasn't just rando spooky stuff happening.
No. This narrative had been carefully unfolding piece by piece since August of the year before. That's months of consistent storytelling.
It definitely indicated a significant amount of thought, planning even, perhaps some creative direction to pull off something that's sustained, that complex.
Which leads to the big question, right? With a story this intricate unfolding over such a long time, what was Adam Ellis's motivation? Because it definitely started to feel like a crafted narrative, didn't it?
It absolutely did.
Yeah.
And you have to remember his background. Before Dear David, Adam Ellis was mainly known as a webcomic artist.
Right. He was a popular contributor at BuzzFeed.
Exactly. In fact, he even wrote his own article for BuzzFeed when David supposedly first showed up, talking about his early experiences.
Huh, okay.
So, this background, as a skilled illustrator, a visual storyteller, immediately led to suspicions, even among his own fans.
Suspicions about his ability to create those photos, you mean?
Precisely. Those now infamous photos that really cemented David in the public mind. His artistic skills would certainly lend themselves to creating something like that.
And those suspicions, they weren't just wild guesses, were they? There was some analysis done.
That's right. A private investigator working through a friend from dreadcentral.com.
Which is a big horror news site.
Yeah. And Brainwaves Radio, which is a known paranormal discussion forum, they actually took one of the main Dear David photos and analyzed it using specialized software.
And the conclusion?
Pretty definitive. According to their report, the photo had, quote, been altered.
Altered. Okay, so manipulated.
Manipulated, yes. And what's really telling is the detail of how it was apparently altered. The analysis strongly suggested that the figure, the child or ghost, was added as a separate layer, like in Photoshop or a similar program.
Okay, so pasted in, basically.
Essentially. And it looked like an attempt was then made to blend that layer into the background to make it look seamless.
Right, to make it look like it was really there in the room.
But the effort apparently resulted in this faint but distinct colored halo, a slight glow around the figure.
Like you sometimes see in bad Photoshop jobs where the edges look kind of fuzzy or off color.
Exactly like that. Think of it like using a blending tool with makeup, maybe, trying to hide the edge of a bandage on skin, but not quite getting it right.
Gotcha.
That glow or halo was described as a clear, telltale sign, a mark of it having been blended from one portion to the other. A digital seam, basically.
Digital seam. Wow. Okay, so the Photoshop evidence seems pretty strong.
Highly probable, yeah.
But people also considered other possibilities, didn't they? It wasn't just Photoshop being discussed.
No, definitely not. Some people wondered if David, or the figure, might have been a practical prop in some shots.
Like a doll or some kind of mannequin.
Possibly. Or maybe even, a cleverly positioned figure or object. It's also entirely possible, and frankly, quite plausible, given Adam's creative background.
Yeah.
That the photos were created using a mix of things. Maybe some practical effects combined with Photoshop to finish them off, clean them up.
That makes sense. He'd have the skills, maybe the connections to pull off something like that. Either way, practical or digital or both.
Right. It points towards fabrication.
Which brings us back to why? Why go to all that effort?
Well, besides the possibility of just wanting to tell a compelling story, there was another potential theory floating around.
Okay.
Adam's also a published author. And around that time, he had been teasing the release of a new book in 2018.
Ah, the timing. So maybe a PR stunt.
That was the speculation. He did acknowledge the upcoming book publicly, but he firmly denied that Dear David was a publicity stunt for it. And without knowing what the book was actually about, it's hard to definitively prove or disprove that connection,
True, it's circumstantial.
But the allure of going viral, the satisfaction maybe of crafting a story that gripped millions, or even just the sheer artistic challenge, those could also be powerful motivators for someone creative like Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. And Adam's story, while huge, it isn't entirely unique in this online space, is it?
No, not at all.
It actually reminds me a lot of another case, another really fascinating parallel that might shed some light here.
You think of Emmanuel's story.
Exactly. Manuel and the tweets that kicked everything off for him.
Right. That was another wild ride. Manuel's strange experience started while he was on vacation.
In a hotel.
Yeah, in his hotel room. Suddenly the door just opens unexpectedly. And he finds this tall, skinny man standing inside.
Whoa. Okay.
And the man apparently looked very nervous, was pacing around the room, seemed disoriented, had this sad gaze. Then it gets weirder. The man firmly grabs Manuel's arm, starts speaking very fast in Spanish, but the words were all jumbled in the wrong order. Like he couldn't form proper sentences.
Okay, that's bizarre.
And before the man finally left, Manuel saw him carrying a hotel key card, just like the one I used to enter my room.
Chilling. That immediately hooks you, right?
Totally. His followers went nuts.
And things just kept getting weirder for Manuel, didn't they? He called it his vacation in hell.
He did. He kept posting updates, feeding his audience more strange events. One bit I remember that really built the suspense.
Yeah.
He came back to his room and found a pencil just lying on the floor, randomly.
Okay.
Which was later revealed through more tweets to have been used to write some kind of mysterious message. His followers were just hanging on every single update.
On the edge of their seats.
Completely. Now, it's important to say right up front, Manuel's story was obviously all staged. He admitted it later.
Right. But crucially,
just because it was staged didn't mean it wasn't enjoyable. It captivated a huge audience. The fact that it was fiction didn't kill the entertainment value.
no, it created it. And the audience clearly loved it, staged or not. Manuel started that vacation trip with something like, 15,000 Twitter followers.
Around that, yeah.
And by the end of the week, he'd shot up to over 300,000.
Incredible growth. Just from that one story thread.
And what's interesting, too, is that he was pretty transparent about it afterwards. He gave interviews, explained his process, how he did it all.
Yeah, he didn't try to hide it once the story was over.
And his audience didn't seem to mind.
Not at all. Manuel himself said his goal was to have a good time telling a story in a different format and in a different medium from the ones I use regularly.
So like an experiment in digital performance art.
Exactly. And when the story wrapped up, the hashtag thanks Manuel actually trended in Spain. Yeah. Followers were thanking him for the entertainment, expressing how much they enjoyed the ride. And apparently, many were even encouraged to try telling their own stories in new ways.
Wow. That really shows the power of this kind of interactive unfolding narrative, doesn't it? Audiences are totally willing to embrace a good story, even if they know or suspect it's not factually true.
Absolutely. The engagement is real, even if the events aren't.
So connecting the dots then, what we see with Dear David, it could very well be something similar to Manuel's story, couldn't it?
It seems plausible.
A creative, semi-improvised story, maybe, told through this untraditional medium of social media.
It's a fascinating new frontier for narrative. The lines get incredibly blurred.
And Twitter specifically seems almost perfectly designed for this kind of thing, doesn't it? This dynamic real-time storytelling.
It really does. It lets users follow along with a story as it's happening, which is super effective for building suspense, cliffhangers.
Yeah, dropping little bits of information.
Exactly. Feeding us information in intervals. It creates this sense of shared experience, like a communal mystery unfolding right now.
Pulling you deeper, thread by thread.
It's like a modern campfire tale, but the campfire is digital, and everyone's gathered around their screens wondering what happens next.
And Adam Ellis, you have to admit, he mastered that format. He used the Twitter thread with incredible skill.
Oh, definitely. He created this rhythm, this almost systematic delivery that just kept everyone hooked.
His posts felt always systematic, didn't they? They'd start softly, maybe a weird feeling or a small noise, then introduce more strange occurrences, and then go deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole.
Until, boom, a payoff. A video or one of those chilling photos.
He didn't just dump all the spooky stuff at once. He built it patiently.
It's that slow burn approach, isn't it? It's quite similar, actually, to how really effective horror films or even serialized novels build genuine dread.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Adam didn't just throw photos out right away. He gave just enough, these little panelizing bits of info for us to nibble on each time, gradually escalating things.
Like good horror movies that focus on atmosphere and character and pacing rather than
just relying on constant jump scares.
Yeah.
It builds real dread, this mounting unease that hooks you intellectually, emotionally, makes you desperate for the next piece of the puzzle.
It really tapped into something primal, that desire for narrative, for mystery.
And that shared experience of curiosity and wonder, all amplified by the immediacy of social media.
So yeah, when all's said and done, Dear David, it may very well be a masterful work of fiction.
Seems likely.
But maybe in the end that isn't such a bad thing. Perhaps the real magic was in the collective experience, the shared suspense, the art of it.
The digital storytelling itself.
Yeah. Maybe we can just enjoy it for what it was, appreciate the craft while it lasted, because the story does seem to be kind of winding down now or coming to a close soon.
Even behind a pretty unique legacy in online horror.
Definitely. Which leads to a final thought maybe for you listening. When you're consuming content online, especially things that seem to unfold organically like they're happening right now, how do you decide what's factual and what's just really compelling fiction?
And does that distinction always matter? If the story itself is engaging, if it captures your imagination, brings people together, does it need to be real?
It's something to think about, isn't it?
For sure. These stories, whether they turn out to be real experiences or just masterfully crafted narratives, they really highlight that fundamental human desire for stories, for mystery.
That shared curiosity.
Exactly. And they show how these digital platforms, they aren't just for sharing news or cat videos. They've become these powerful new canvases for collective storytelling.
Blurring the lines between reality and art in really fascinating ways.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the truly fascinating world of Dear David.
It was great to talk through it.
If you enjoyed this exploration, please do make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. We've got more deep dives into the strange and unsettling coming your way.
Until next time.